Welcome to the Addiction Solution Podcast. I'm Michelle Dunbar. Enjoy listening and watching as addiction experts Mark Sheeran and I cover controversial as well as helpful topics on addiction, how to move past it, and other related subjects. As two of the co-founders of the Freedom Model, Mark and I will give you a completely new perspective on the topics that matter to you. We will take to task the Recovery Society's lies and misinformation and replace them with facts, research, and the methods to move on from addiction struggles without 12-step meetings, rehabs, and the shackles of endless recovery. Let's escape the treatment and recovery trap together and learn to be free. Welcome to the truth. Hey, everybody. Our goal has always been to provide you with a solution to addiction that doesn't require you to go to rehab, do any steps, or go to meetings.
Or even be stuck on MAT regimens for the rest of your life either. And we built a workshop that we did last week and the week prior. We did 4 of them, and we picked the best one for you. And so it's a 2.5-hour workshop. It's called The Solution to Addiction. And it's amazing. We cover how to deconstruct your binge construct, why you do the things you do, because that's one of the questions we get all the time. Why do I keep doing this? And we give the answer for that. And we give the solution, a way out, a path out that makes sense.
Absolutely. When you get the Solution to Addiction course, we now have it as a course, and you can go right to thefreedommodel.org. It's right at the top. It says the Solution to Addiction. When you get it, you also get the Solution to Addiction book that we just wrote and the accompanying workbook. And you get the Freedom Model for Addictions book and the Freedom Model for the Family as well within that course module.
Yeah. So you literally have all the information, plus we teach you. And it's a really empowering, powerful course.
It is. So go to thefreedommodel.org or go right into the Freedom Model mobile app. And you'll see that if you hit, I think, the Discover, you'll see that we have the Solution to Addiction there for you.
All right, everybody. Take care.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Addiction Solution. I'm Michelle Dunbar.
And I'm Mark Sheeran. And we are the co-authors and co-founders of the Freedom Model for Addictions. You can see the book back there. We have it on display. Yeah. So what are we going to talk about today?
Well, first, I want to let you all know, and you probably just saw it in a little promo we had about the Solution to Addiction. It is just such a tremendous add-on product that we offer now for you. It's very affordable. You can go to thefreedommodel.org, and the Solution to Addiction is right at the top. Click on that and you can get it really easily. It's just under 3-hour video course that we teach. We had done it live. We took the best live version of it and we made it into its own little course. It comes with the latest book that we wrote, The Solution to Addiction, Dismantling Your Binge Construct. And it comes with the workbook for that as well. And it comes with our other books as well. So it's a real great value, and it will show you exactly why you may be still struggling with heavy use, even when you're trying to moderate, and how you can solve that.
Yeah, how to move past that problem. It's actually what people have been asking for a few years now. And as we were writing the second edition, I said to myself, well, why don't I just make a course out of that piece that I'm writing or that we were writing?
Yeah.
And so it's how to apply the science. So the Freedom Model itself is a grouping of ideas and science. It lists out all the research and ideas, but it doesn't tell you exactly how to apply that. And we do that in coaching every day, right? We teach people exactly in their circumstances how to apply it. So we built this workshop to do that with you.
Yeah.
And it's very succinct. It's very to the point, and it's going to help you move to that next level of getting over your problem.
Yes. Excuse me. And if you're new to the Freedom Model, you want to start somewhere, you can start with our free masterclass that is still available. You can find that easily in the app Or you can go to the freedommodel.org, the coaching page. It's at the bottom of the coaching page. You can sign up for that free masterclass. It's just an hour long, and it answers some great questions, and it will give you a great introduction to the freedom model, and also tell you exactly why, if you've been trying treatment, you've been trying 12-step meetings, that hasn't worked for you, and it's not your fault.
That's right. That's right. And it'll direct you on all the different avenues and options that we have.
Yep. So let's
Yeah.
get started today. We want to explore something today. Okay. We've been getting a lot of people using the freedom model for behavioral type addictions like porn and
Gambling
and shopping and gaming. And there's this idea in the behavioral addictions world, right, that you're run by your brain chemistry. So I want to explore, if that were actually true, what our lives would be like.
Yeah, there's this, and we talk about it in the Freedom Model book. It's the deterministic reductionist view that you are a slave. Your decision making is a slave to biochemistry. It's a really weird idea too. It's its own religion, and because it's based not in fact, and it ignores thoughts, it ignores drives, it ignores motive, it ignores everything that makes us humans and thinking creatures.
Yeah, it ignores our ability to reason. And it's a religion in the respect that mental health has always kind of moved in that direction. When you look at mental health issues, depression and anxiety were believed for a long time to be a result of your brain chemistry being off, right? That was disproven, and not with a lot of fanfare either, but there was little articles that were released that were like, hey, you know what, we were kind of wrong about this. Oh, but we're selling a lot of drugs, so we're just going to keep it going.
Yeah, that's where my mind just went, is how did it get here? Well, it's funny because if you look throughout history and literature and science, all the way back thousands of years to the written record, there's been a battle in the sciences between philosophy and science, and in some cases, religion is mixed in there, belief systems, governments, and then power and control, and it just expands out into this really mixed up human experience that we have, and we don't know who to believe. So what happens in science is this strange sort of thing where if you can't see it, it doesn't exist. And I understand why that's the case. We are very, as human beings, very preoccupied with the health of our bodies, because without them, we die, right? It's a reality. Our body is a reality. Our brain tissue is a reality that we live with every day. It's part of what makes us human and exist. So, and it's tangible. And trying to describe the relationship of a mind and a brain is a huge challenge. So we tend towards the physical, and the science community really doesn't see philosophy as legitimate. And philosophy is the viewpoint of human beings and the ideas of human beings. And science of observing the body would not be possible without people being able to think. It's really interesting. You're using the apparatus of the mind to study the body. But yet, when we're studying the body, the brain, biochemistry, we're ignoring the very apparatus we use to study it. so it's as if we think, and then we just ignore the fact that we think.
Mm-hmm.
And then we reduce with our thinking, we reduce and write down all this stuff and do documentaries about how we are run by our biochemistry. Jesus, we couldn't even make the documentary. We couldn't even write the research paper without a mind. It's such a huge blind spot in the scientific community. And then they say, well, that's soft science. That's soft science. Well, I would argue that it's the hardest science of all because we're all doing it. We're all thinking,
Right.
you know? So I think so if we were to break down the physical viewpoint, we have to believe, and this is wild, we have to believe that your brain has its own separate mind that is not yours. Because if your brain, how does it know to pick up the pen? Are you determined to drink the coffee or the booze or watch porn or live your life or drive your car? It's so weird.
As you're talking, I have to tell this story because it was such a big thing that happened to me, and he knows this, so his eyes are going to glaze over. But it made me think of my experience this past Saturday, and I went. My husband took me on this hike, and every year we go on a hike. We take the dog, but we just kind of wander around the woods up in the Adirondacks. And when I start feeling like I'm getting tired, we would come back. So we never really had a destination. Well, this year he thought, "Oh, we'll go to this trail, which is not a well-traveled trail in the Adirondacks." And but it's a place he hunts and stuff. Um and we'll go up to this pond, and he wanted to do some fishing. And in my he told me it's a mile and a half hike, and I can do, I walk most days 3 miles and on a road, not in the woods. So I went and I followed him, and talk about mind, how your mind, how strong it is, how your mind
How
works.
influential.
Yeah,
Yep.
and so when I thought it was just a mile and a half, I was very happy. We're walking. We had to climb over a lot of stuff. It's early in the season. There's a lot of down trees. There's a lot of leaves down, so you can't see underneath. And so it was hard on your feet and your ankles and your knees. And then the last mile or so, which I didn't realize, that you're climbing. And we got about a mile, and what I thought was, I've gone far enough. And I thought I should turn around. And I talked to him about it. And he's like, "Oh, it's just ahead. It's just ahead." Well, he kept saying that to me. Well, we got there. I finally get there, and I'm so tired because it was over 2 miles. And I'm so tired. I think, oh my God, I can't get back out. I'm not a young person anymore. more. And I hadn't hiked like that in a couple years. I mean, I used to hike a lot, and I hadn't hiked in a few years. And I thought I couldn't get out. I became instantly fearful. And for someone that thinks that your brain is in charge, there is no way I would have made it out.
That's true.
There is no way I would have made it out if my brain was in charge, because I was flooded with fear. Going downhill is very hard. I have a prosthetic hip. There's a lot at stake, and both of us are in our 50s. Um, and I thought, and my husband's a expert in the woods. So I wasn't worried about that. I knew we could find our way. I knew all of that. But I just was flooded with fear. And to get out of there, that 2.5 miles, it was a continuous mind over matter. It was continuous, because every fiber of me felt like there's no way you can do this. You are not physically capable of doing this. But I had to keep bringing myself back and thinking, I'm doing it. I mean, there's a reality, right? That I'm doing it. But I can tell you that if my brain was in charge, we would have laid down and not gone any further. Because the first time I slipped and a stick stabbed my ankle and I kind of lost my mind for a minute, that would have been it for me. But there is, throughout history, people doing things that they shouldn't be able to do.
Yeah. This is a good point. So there's a standard. So let's go back to the mechanics for a minute, because that example is a good example. So if your brain is in control, how does it know anything? How does it, if there is no mind, if you're not in control, because you are your mind, okay, that's my argument, that you are your mind. And then this meat suit just sort of tags along and gets instruction from this intelligent mind that you have, this free will. So if you don't have free will and you don't have a mind, or you have a mind, but it's run by brain chemistry, who's in charge of the brain chemistry to do all of these organized things? It's not like the brain is there in your argument. If this is what you believe, it's not like you're just haphazardly flopping around on the floor in some random way. You've learned language, you've learned how to articulate concepts and all this. If that's brain chemistry and there is no mind, where did the intelligence come from? Where did the ideas that you live with? How do you put your shirt on? How do you know that it's a blue shirt or a black shirt and that that's what you want to wear? How would the brain know that if there's no software telling the brain chemistry how to behave? This is fucking ignored.
Yeah.
This idea, this fact, this big blind spot in the neuro sort of biological centered thing we call, being run by our biology. So it's ridiculous. So, but big pharma doesn't want you to have a mind. They don't want you to know that you're in control of your thoughts. They want you to believe you can't be, and you aren't, and you're flawed, and your thinking is flawed, all of that. So it's really dangerous to go down the path of marginalizing you because you're your mind.
Yeah, exactly. So when you experience an emotion, right? You experience an emotion like fear. I mean, and that was what kind of where I was, and you experience fear. Is that something that is just happening to you because there's this random spew of chemical from your brain, or is it the result of your interpretation of the environment around you, the circumstances of what's happening around you? And if it's the result of a chemical, then there's nothing you can do about it, right? That chemical just happens and you're fucked. But if it's the result of an interpretation, which by the way happens in a split second, which is why we believe that it happens to us
That's right.
rather than by us. So, but I can tell you it's definitely a result of interpretation. There's a lot of science behind that.
Well, yeah, let me jump into that, because it's the word courage is where you act in spite of your fears. So you could have a fearful thought, and then right after that fearful thought say, well, I'm going to tackle this issue anyway. So you interpret it as tackling the problem as being more important than the fear.
Yep.
And then you could still have the sensation of fear because you're thinking, oh God, I hope if I run up the beach of Normandy in the hail of gunfire, this is courage, folks.
Yeah.
This is real
Lots of
courage,
courage.
right? Right. At least I have a chance to live. So this is a concept in your mind of value judgment about your own existence. Sorry, turn the volume down a touch. And so you're interpreting the situation and you have all kinds of emotions. Now, the point that Michelle made is all of this is happening like this.
Yeah.
Because the relationship between our mind and our brain, which we do not understand, by the way, how the metaphysical runs the physical. That part is the philosophical side of things. Science hasn't been able to prove all of this yet. But that relationship is seamless. It's instantaneous, or nearly instantaneous. You can think something and react, and you can go back and forth in your mind on all kinds of value judgments and interpretations in matters of split seconds. And if you ever watch a boxing match and you see a really great pro boxer that's fighting, they're not thinking left hook, right
Mm,
cross. But I can tell you this, they are thinking it, but it's very, 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 very fast. And if you were to take a brain scan while they were fighting, that thing would be lit up like a Christmas tree because the instructions of the mind for counterpunching, offense, defense is happening at an incredible speed only because they're practiced at it.
that's it. That's where I was going to go next with habit. So, okay. So, but then what is habit? Because habit, starts to feel like what we're doing is automatic, that it's not something we have control over, whatever that may be. And it's like, but the boxer has control. You drive your car, you drive the same route every single day, and it feels automatic. It feels like you're just doing it. But if a dog runs out in front of you, you will instantaneously make a move to avoid that situation. You will, come out of your habitual, this is just rote kind of thing. And so all habit is well practiced behavior. That's all that it is, because we are made to make things more efficient. Our brains work that way, our minds work that way. They work in concert with each other, to make behaviors that we do often. And why do we do them often? Because we see value in doing them,
That's right.
and we make them more efficient. So it may feel automatic to you, but it is always volitional.
So where does habit form? It forms in your mind first, based on your motivation and desire. So, and that's based on the benefits you see in that particular activity or choice. And so we're constantly habituating in our mind first, and then the neuroplastic changes happen in brain tissue. But what's interesting about that is people want to jump all over. Yeah, my brain changed. Well,
Right.
here's the deal, folks. Your brain is changing constantly to habituate every single thing from biting your nails to the way you wash your feet in the shower every day to the way you drive a car and hit the blinker. There's circuitry built around all of it,
Yeah, it's
all of
remarkable.
it. And then if you do take a different route to work, your mind says, that's a better way to work. I'm going to skip I-87 and I'm going to go down around Congress Street and go this way. When you think that, if it's motivated enough and you see the benefit in it enough, you'll get efficient at that as well. And then your brain changes from I-87. Here's the point. You're not at the mercy of brain chemical neuroplastic change, because your brain is constantly changing and it's adapted to whatever. It is a slave to whatever you think. So habituate in your mind based on benefits, based on the positive drive principle, based on your autonomy and your free will. Those are all in your mind. Those are the attributes that make us human beings. And this meat suit is just a slave to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody asked us in one of our, I think it was in our solution workshop, one of our workshops that we had, they asked us about, do I have to be mindful all the time? And, nobody, or no, I don't remember where it was asked, but
it was in the workshop.
It was in the workshop. It's like, well, nobody can be mindful all the time. And you don't have to be mindful all the time. I mean, that would be kind of absurd.
It'd be exhausting.
It would be absolutely exhausting. And I can tell you, because coming down that mountain, I had to be mindful the whole time.
Yeah.
And it was 3 hours and it was brutal.
Yep.
But when you're trying to change a habit, you bet your ass you got to be mindful, because it's when you do things mindlessly, you've already set up that habit, that habitual kind of system between the mind and the brain together working in concert. They call it Hebb's law, right? Neurons that fire together wire together. You've got this super highway between your mind and your brain to do this specific activity, and so it's easy. You don't have to think about it. But if you want to change it, that's the time to be mindful. Like, oh, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going this way to work.
Now, here's what's interesting about this, though. People ask me, and I want you all to listen to this because this is really, really important. People ask me all the time, how quick does it take to change a habit? And they want to point at the brain. The brain doesn't matter.
It
I'm going to
doesn't.
say something that is really, really, really countercultural, especially today in our completely biocentered world. It doesn't matter what's happening in the brain
Nope.
at all. Brain changes be damned. We wrote that in that book because of this. You can change a habit in a thought.
That's right.
When and the thought that changes a habit. Now it may, but to Michelle's point, it may take some mindfulness too, or any variation there in between. So it might take a long time. It might take a moment to change a habit, or any time in between there, any duration. Now this is why. It all comes down to your understanding of competing options. So if you have a thorough understanding that the habit of PMO or the habit of watching porn, drinking, doing heroin, if all of a sudden you realized, I don't think I like this anymore in your mind, then you know what happens to the circuitry that's surrounding the habit of heroin use at that point? It just lies dormant because it's not getting information from the mind. The mind just changed. I changed my mind. So when you change your mind, when you literally change your mind based on, I see benefit in not doing heroin. And today, you know what? I don't even need to be mindful of it because I know that I don't want to do heroin. I know that because the benefits of not doing it are so much greater. And when that clicks, it clicks in your mind. It has nothing to do with your brain chemistry.
Yeah.
Because then when you switch in the mind to this new benefits scenario, it's going to light up a new circuit, and the other one's just dead. It's inconsequential. It doesn't matter. Now that neuronal structure, that neural structure is still going to exist for a period of time, and if you have a memory about heroin, it might flow down that old circuit, and it might feel habitual. You'll be like, oh, I know what heroin's all about. But it's no big deal because your value system in your mind is different. It all comes down to your value system. And in the solution to addiction, we talk about value creation.
That's right.
And how we create value in our binging, in our construct of our mind, which therefore makes a construct in our brain. But it doesn't matter what's in the brain. It doesn't matter. That's just a meat suit that has to react to this mindful thing. The instructions, the grand master, the intelligence, the interpreter. That's all in your mind. Your brain doesn't think. It doesn't know. It doesn't have motive. It doesn't have desire. It can't think for you. There isn't a brain mind and then your mind working against each other. That's what this pharmaceutical industry is trying to make you believe. They want to make you believe that you can't control your mind and that your brain chemistry is in control of you. It's absurd.
Well, and it's sad. I mean, it's truly sad. If you believe, if you let's take cravings for example.
God,
Okay,
drives me crazy.
because if you have your beliefs are everything. Okay, because if you believe cravings are created in my brain because my brain thinks I need something. Just what Mark is saying, right? That there's this little man, a little woman in your brain that's separate from you.
It has its own mind.
That's running the show. Yeah. And it's like, oh, my brain is telling me I need this. If you believe that, well, then you're going to have a battle. You have a battle on your hands.
You've literally created a straw man within yourself.
Exactly.
You've created duplicity.
So if you have that belief, challenge it. The next time you start to frame a thought, okay, a habitual thought into a craving, if you frame it as a craving, what you're doing, I want you to imagine a little dude inside your head that's pulling the strings. And I want you to imagine that for the absurdity that it is. It's not real. It's not true. So you can challenge that and shift it and go, maybe that's bullshit. Maybe that was just a habitual thought and I can let it go and move on with my day.
Yeah, maybe it's just me. This is me thinking.
Yeah.
But what you think matters. If you believe there's duplicity, if you believe there's a little man behind the curtain inside your brain telling you how to live your life, well, my friend, that is good marketing of the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah.
That's big
And the
pharma.
treatment industry and the porn industry
Yep.
and the booze
Yeah,
industry.
you're biohacked. Your serotonin and dopamine are running you. What a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
It's just not true. It's
Yeah.
just not true. They're ignoring you. They're ignoring your ability to think. I want you to think about that. I want you to think, wow, these industries marginalize me to such a degree that they want me to believe that my mind, I don't exist,
Right.
that I am at the mercy of their product. So now, not only is there duplicity within your own being, your body, your brain, little mind behind the brain telling you how to live, but also that there's some sort of marketing guru at Budweiser who also has control over the mind that's running your brain, that's running you. I mean, holy shit. We're in weird land, folks.
Yeah.
That's craziness. Maybe the alternative view, which is the freedom model view, is you value getting fucked up for very personal reasons.
Yep.
In the confines of your mind that are private to you. You have lots of fantasies that you've stacked into this, and you believe that this has some sort of beneficial sort of scenario for you. And you can challenge that in your mind because there is only one mind. And there's this external world that you're observing, you're interpreting in your own manner with your own positive drive, saying, that's valuable to me. And not only that, but I have a mind that I can challenge those interpretations. I can challenge what I think. I can challenge what the marketing guru at Budweiser is telling me. I can challenge what the porn industry is telling me. I can certainly challenge the horse shit that I'm run by my traumas, my biochemistry, my past, and that I need some sponsor or guru or counselor to tell me how to live my life, or pill,
Yeah.
for that matter.
Do you honestly think, I want you to think about this for a minute, that if our brains were in charge, if this gelatinous mass in our head were in charge, that we would have cars, cell phones, the lights, the internet?
Yeah, how did it there has to be intelligence. So if it's not your intelligence, who's running your brain? I love debate.
Me too.
And when we go down this rabbit hole, the question is whether you have a mind or your brain has a second duplicitous mind of its own
That's working against you.
that's working against you, your mind. And even worse, that you don't even have one, and that your brain is in control and is just making shit happen. But here's the problem with all this. Their argument that you're just a brain, right? You're just a brain. Well, then how the hell are you thinking and observing this argument?
Exactly.
The argument is outside the brain tissue. How the hell are you observing this argument? You're on a different side of it, observing the argument itself. Are you that schizophrenic? Is this really all run by some grandmaster play that isn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, it's absurd when you start to look at it. They've reduced you, and they've taken your identity and said, you don't fucking exist. You don't get to make decisions. Your biochemistry is hacked. You're destined to behave this way. And you need this treatment, pill, mat drug, or something to save you. That's what it's about. Money. It's about money. It's always been about money for centuries.
Yeah, exactly. I want you to think about too. I want to kind of go down this dopamine road for a minute. And it because one of the arguments that the and with porn is that you You will go down the road with porn and you won't be able to get it up in a different way.
Mhm.
Right? That and they have the same argument for heroin,
Yep.
the same argument for booze, and that is that you basically have wrecked it so nothing else feels as good as your addiction. Well, we know that's not true. You know that's not true if you look at your own life. Okay? And what I mean by that is, are you saying that you, that if you bought a lottery ticket and you won the lottery, you wouldn't feel elation? Of course you would. Are you saying that um if you're not going to, if you didn't allow yourself to fall in love, you wouldn't feel elation falling? I mean, there's all kinds of things in life that happen that whatever you do that you enjoy even a little bit releases dopamine, even a little bit. But if you have a belief, I mean, how damaging is teaching people this nonsense? If you have a belief nothing else will ever feel good again, well, then you know what? It probably won't.
This is a great segue into the last piece of what we need to talk about. So I work with, and Michelle works with the women. I work with the men. I work with a lot of young men that have never had sex, and there's nothing wrong with these people, but they've grown up now in the porn sort of replacing love scenario.
Yeah.
And what's so sad about this is they legitimately can't get it up anymore. And the reason they can't, it has nothing to do with their biochemistry. It has to do with their belief.
And what they've been told.
Well, so they've been told that porn is the only thing that's going to work for them. So they go back to it. It becomes their norm. And so they literally create the narrative. They physically create the narrative. They really can't get it up. But here's what's interesting about these people when I work with them. I say, if you're willing to go out and start living your life, even a little,
Even a little.
don't be surprised if you find yourself attracted to something other than pornography.
Yeah.
But they've never tried.
Right.
We now have a generation of young men who literally believe the junk science, manifest it,
Yep.
and the porn industry is literally laughing to the bank over it. And and look at this, has been going on in the drug world and the drinking world for
50, 60 years.
Yeah, and really millennia. It's
Mhm.
been going on. The marketing of booze as spirits and magical, the good creature of God, all these things in different ways. But to Michelle's point, in the last 50 to 80 years, it's really taken on this biochemical science that it's hacked your dopamine and serotonin levels. And here's the crazy part. The more you believe it, the more it does.
Yep.
The more it does, because your beliefs drive your biochemistry.
Your beliefs and your thoughts.
That's right.
Okay. And so you create that which you fear. And so you're like, oh, I'm doing this too much. And now it's hacking my brain. And now no women look attractive to me anymore. And I can't go out and talk to people. And I mean, you literally go down this spiral. And the irony is it's all made up by you.
And that's because your beliefs were, if anything was biohacked, it wasn't biohacked. It was hacked by marketing.
Yeah.
It was hacked by some bullshit internet crap science that says this is why you behave the way you behave. And just like what we're going to find and what we know to be true, substance use has been a part of the human experience, as sex has forever. But this idea of pornography, for example, being so accessible, they say it's never in human history has it been so accessible. Did you ever hear of Rome?
Yes.
Okay.
Caligula. I mean,
this has been going on forever. Now, to the point to where we're on the front cusp of the porn industry And with mass communication with the internet, what we're seeing is a much faster distribution of that message. But the problem of people not being able to get it up, not finding happiness after doing massive amounts of drugs, not that belief system is not new.
No,
It's
but it isn't scientifically accurate.
no, it's a belief, it's a religion that we then manifest with our mind,
Yes.
which then affects our brain chemistry. Then the industry says, oh, yeah, see, you can't get it up now. And then the person says, I guess I can't. I guess I have to dive deeper into the benefits of pornography. I need to dig deeper into the warm blanket that is heroin for my emotions. I need to cope better with alcohol now because I am biohacked. The marketers of those industries love you when you think that shit, because now you are a lifetime customer and you won't go to alternative things to be happy because you believe you can't. Your belief then creates the very scenario that they have laid out for you. You are being gamed. And the only thing you need to do to get out of that is challenge those benefits of those habits with your mind, because there isn't another one. There's just you in there. Challenge them. And this is what we do in the Solution to Addiction workshop. If you want to learn how to do this, take that workshop. It's $180 or whatever. It's 3 hours of your life, and we can show you exactly how to do this. Challenge those benefits. Try something else. Live your life. Get out of the bedroom. Get off the computer screen. Go live your life. Don't go chasing heroin all day. Go to a detox. Get it done with. Don't get put on Suboxone for the rest of your life. Don't play the pharmaceutical game at all. Move on. Allow yourself. Say, I can move on. That's the concept that frees you.
Yes.
That's the beginning.
Yes.
There is no other way.
There is no other way. Open your mind to the possibility that you're the one that's in control. You always have been. And that all of this nonsense, all of this bullshit about biochemistry, brain chemistry running your life has never been true. It's not true now. It's never been true. Your beliefs are running things for you, and you can challenge them and change them.
That's it. That's where we're going to stop.
That's where we're going to stop. I hope this has been helpful to you. I want you to know that we have spent, people are going to look at us and say, how the hell do they know all this shit? We have spent our entire adult lives working with people to help them solve their addictions. And we have seen remarkable transformations over the years. And
this is what the data says anyway.
It does. It shows people get over this stuff at extremely high rates, and most of them don't get any treatment at all. They simply change their mind and they move on.
Because our mind is resilient, folks. You have free will.
Yes.
You have free will.
You
can
really
choose
do.
anything for yourself. Don't let people make you believe you don't have that.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you, everyone. And we are going to be doing another interview. Our next one will be with a woman in Australia.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that.
All right, everybody. Take care.
Are you struggling with a drug or alcohol problem, but you don't want to go to rehab or group meetings? Well, that's why we created the non-12-step Freedom Model Coaching Program in 2011. Through video conferencing on Zoom or Skype, you can work privately with a certified Freedom Model coach from your home or office on your schedule. And here's the best part. With the Freedom Model, you'll never be labeled an addict or an alcoholic, and we won't tell you to go to 12-step meetings or hamper your life with endless recovery rituals. Instead, you can learn exactly why addiction isn't a disease and how you can solve the problem for good and move on with your life. Do you want to be completely free from your addiction? Do you want to never have to attend meetings, rehabs, or addiction counseling ever again? And do you want to solve your problem from the comfort of home? Then call us at 888-424-2626 to talk with a Freedom Model coach today and experience the Freedom Model difference.